G'day guys, Matt here from Tradie Web Guys and the Site Shed. And I just want to talk to you today a little bit about Google Drive and why we love using Google as a service provider for things like email and cloud storage, so on and so forth. As a business owner, it's really important that you have some sort of control and as much control as possible over your intellectual property, your document management, perhaps even like emails, so sensitive emails or whatever it might be. We've been using Google Drive for many, many years, and this was one of the reasons why we adopted it in the first place, aside from the fact that we wanted to get all of our emails away from servers. So, some of the common, and we do this all the time now, we resell Google. We have hundreds of clients that are set up with Google Workspace, as it's now called. It used to be called G Suite. But the reason that we went away from that initially was purely because we wanted to take our emails away from poor service providers, like your typical, GoDaddy, for example, or whatever it might be. Take it away from them and stick it up in Google's cloud. Now that alone is a really, really good investment because it basically makes your emails completely redundant in the sense of you're never going to have an issue. It's not located on one server. It's located on many different servers all over the world. Think of it like a manifold. So if you've got one cylinder that stops firing in your car, the rest of them keep firing. So your emails and everything will stay safe. And over the years, I've never ever I can't hand on heart, I can't honestly think of a single time that I've had an issue with my emails, and it's all because they live on Google's super safe infrastructure. Anyway, that aside, now that as the business grew and developed, and then as we became resellers as well, because of this reason, really, we noticed that it's so valuable to have all of your intellectual property and documentation living in Google servers. Also, because you don't want to have any sensitive information living on any one device. And that might be your computer at the moment, your desktop computer. It might be your laptop. It might be the office server or whatever it is. But essentially, if anything ever happens to that device, then you're extremely exposed and you potentially would lose all of that data. Now, sure, you can back things up. And I know back in the day, we used to do things like we used to back up all of the company computers to a hard drive and take them home every day and do all this kind of ridiculous stuff. You don't need to do that anymore. And so essentially I would say if you're running Office servers, then you're probably behind the eight ball because like most SaaS service as a software company products, their job is essentially to replace IT. So you can have all of the benefits of a fully maintained operating system and not have anyone maintain them except for the company that's providing that solution, like Google. So it's extremely valuable. It's extremely cost advantageous, and I tell you, it's just the biggest stress relief ever to not have to worry about these things. So I'm going to show you something that's quickly just came to my attention because I want you to understand, some of the power of having this sort of thing available to you as a resource and as a protection of your IP, and to give you, I suppose, like a broader understanding of where potential issues are, and therefore it gives you the opportunity to go and mitigate that risk or remove some of those obstacles. So this is an email that's come through from Google, and I'm obviously the administrator of this account, so it comes to me. I'm the only one that would see this, but it's talking about data protection insights from my organization. Now, it's saying that I've got over nearly 42,000 Drive files in our organization, which is not a surprise because we've been running for a long time and our entire business lives in Google Drive. And for you guys that don't know what Google Drive is, it's essentially the cloud storage component of Google's G Suite. So part of their apps, one of their apps is Google Drive. All of our documents and stuff live in that, and I'll show you in a second. But what it's saying here is, out of there's 1,224 out of 2,587 files that are containing sensitive content have been shared externally. So at a glance, I look at that and I go, ooh, that sounds potentially dodgy, but potentially not as well. And you'll see what I mean in a little bit, but it's still nice to know, okay, well, maybe we need some further policies deployed, or maybe we need some further sensitivity applied, or maybe we don't, but it's probably worth us investigating. So when I clicked on this report, it took me over to this page right here, and this is part of the Google Admin Console. So when you are the administrator of a Google Workspace account or Google G Suite account, you have an administrative console and basically give you access to all of the business information relative to that account. So this is obviously the data protection section, and as you can see right here at a glance, it's collated some really cool numbers here in relation to files that include sensitive data, and then how many of those files have been shared externally. So some of them are email addresses, some of them are phone numbers, some of them gender identity, and it just gives you a breakdown of all of these things, tax file numbers, so on and so forth. Now, I know that this looks a little bit scary, but I know realistically the way we have this set up, it's not that scary because we have all this sensitive information we've got pretty well locked down in shared drives, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So the point being, at a glance now, I have a pretty good understanding, and I know where I can go to get information on this. So if anything does breach, I can go, oh, okay, well, let's fix this up. And you can see here that I've got security rules, so I can click on this and I can create different rules relating to security and all those kind of things. You see there's quite a lot already in here. So these are sort of policies that you can pass down across the organization. And you can pass down different policies in relation to different devices in your organization. You can pass down policies that relate to the way that your team will use Google Chrome. You can pass down things like we've got custom bookmarks, and everybody that logs into their company email account or Google, once they log into Google Chrome, as soon as they click on a new tab here, they get all of these company shortcuts that come straight through to them. And likewise, they also get it up here with Google Chrome extensions. These are all things that I control as administrator. So I can push them down to my entire organization whenever I want. I can force password changes, and I can do all that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really safe peace of mind when it comes to security. So what I'm going to show you is, I just want to show you a couple of things. Now, for you guys that are familiar with Google Drive, and I know a lot of you would be, I'm just going to reduce my giant head here and move this out of the way a little bit. So Google Drive essentially is where you can store business-related information, which is great. And for many years we would have, and we encourage businesses to do this, at least at a basic level. We have their company drive structure set up with their departments, and they keep all their information in there, and then they share that information accordingly as they need to relevant collaborators. That might be other business owners, or it might be other contractors that work within the organization, either team members or whatever it is, right? So Google Drive is really handy, and it's great to have this set up. It keeps everything nice and tidy. However, if you want an extra layer of security, with Google Workspace now, you can have shared drives. Now, the difference between a Google Drive folder and a shared drive is essentially with a shared drive, it's another layer of protection over your IP. So you can see here, if I click on my shared drives, I've got a whole bunch. And all of these here are departments, but they all contain information that is potentially not overly sensitive, well, potentially sensitive. I mean, if I go down to my finance shared drive here, there's very few people that have access to that aside from, some of the management within the company, and of course accountants and bookkeepers and that kind of thing. But even at the other level here, delivery with our delivery shared drive, or perhaps our podcast is a good one. So if I jump into the podcast shared drive, you'll see there's a whole bunch of folders that live within here, and you'll also see at the top here, this has been shared with one person and one group. Now, the cool thing about shared drives is I have actually, but the way that we set it up is through Google Groups, and anybody that I want to have access to this shared drive, I simply add to a Google group. Now, when I do that, they automatically get access to this drive, which is really cool, because what it means is that I'm not actually sharing the folder or the drive with people. I'm giving them access to it by inviting them into a group. And if I don't want them to have access to it, I simply remove them from the group and they lose access to the drive. So that's a really, really powerful way of protecting your IP, and it's a really easy way of managing it. So instead of having to filter through all of your contacts list of people that have access to, your drive, you simply just go into your group and remove them, and it's done. So we do this now for anything that's, we do this for the majority of things, to be honest. Like pretty much everything lives in here now. And we do that because we want to make sure that the right people have access to the right things. And we don't want our intellectual property to be going out to wrong parties. So, for example, with the podcast, if this shared group has a lot of collaborators from our editing team. Now, they're not within my organization; they're within external organizations, but it's still important that they have access to all of those documents and all of those folders. So every time that a new person comes into that team, they have to ask me to add them to that shared drive, and I add them to the group, and then they get access to it. And again, when I want to remove somebody from there, I just simply remove them from the group. Done. So this is just a brief overview of some of the levels of protection that you can get through Google Workspace, and I really do encourage you guys to embrace it. It's an insanely, ridiculously cheap product for what it gives you. Like I can, again, hand on heart, say that this is the most valuable business tool that we own within our organization, and obviously we just have so much of our information in there. I mean, I don't know if it tells me. We've got 700 odd gig of data saved in there, which is an insane amount of data, and you will likely never ever have that much, but we have hundreds and hundreds of video podcasts that live in there, and we've got a lot of content, and so these folders and drives get do take up a lot of storage. But I mean, even I think each user, from memory, at the level that we're on in Google Workspace, I think we get 2 terabytes each. So we haven't even touched the we haven't even reached that max for one user yet. Like it's an insane amount of storage. So again, and this covers across all things, all part of the Google apps. So your Google Mail, your Google Drive, all of your files and documents, slide decks, whatever it might be. It all comes under that storage banner. So, and you can up it and down it if you need to. So you never really run out. Now, the reason that's good is because you don't have to delete things. So emails especially, I never, ever delete an email. And I mean, obviously if it's spam, I might, but I would never delete a business-related email. I just archive it, and I can always pull it back whenever I want. And there's a complete history of that, and I never, ever have to worry about, tracing back those records that may be lost, because it's always there. So, again, it's a bit of insight for you guys as to, I suppose, why you might want to look into adopting a system like this within your organization. And as I say, it's extremely valuable. It's kind of hard for me to communicate the value to somebody that's never used it, but you go and speak to anybody that has it at their disposal, and they'll give you the same feedback. It really is amazing. Essentially, one of the biggest selling points and the biggest advantages is just being able to run your entire business from a mobile device from anywhere in the world, and having access to all of your information. If you want to go away on holiday and you don't want to take a computer with you, your desktop computer, which you will not want to do, it won't make any difference, because all of the information lives in the cloud, and you can pull it up from your phone. So if that means an invoice or a job-related document or whatever it might be, you can pull it up directly from your device, and you can share it accordingly. So, I mean, just that alone is so valuable. And as I say, for the minimal cost it is it's something ridiculous at the moment, like $180 odd a year for a user or something. Like, it's really, really cheap. And as resellers, we can help you with all that stuff over at Tradie Web Guys. We can set it all up for you. We can migrate your emails in, so you've pretty much hit the ground running. It really is a valuable tool. So guys, if you want to check that out, head across to tradiewebguys.com.au. You can head across to page 4 Google Workspace, which actually is dedicated. There you go. So in the navigation, you can head down to Google Workspace for Tradies, fill the form in, and let us know. Just this information here is
is important, but let us know, you know, if you want any information about it or if you want us to help you set it up. It'll be well worth your while. Can't encourage it enough. Thanks, folks. Bye.